Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Thursday, October 16th, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. Expect a pleasant high of 76.5 degrees in Riverside today, with a comfortable low of 53.0 as the sun sets. Coming up, we'll explore the motivations behind the United States, recent deadly strikes on suspected drug trafficking vessels off Venezuela's coast, and break down how California's affordable insulin program depends on raw materials from India, combined with final packaging in Virginia. Plus, we'll cover other key developments from around the world. All this and more on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Good morning, folks. We begin today with escalating tensions in the Caribbean, where the United States has launched what it calls a war on drug cartels, but critics are calling it a recipe for disaster. Our own Ethan is following this closely from the studio. Ethan, take us through the latest strike and why it's stirring up such a storm.
Absolutely, Grace. Just 2 days ago, on October 14th, a U.S. airstrike took out a small boat in international waters near Venezuela's coast, killing all 6 people on board. President Trump announced it on his Truth Social platform, saying U.S. intelligence confirmed it was hauling narcotics on a route tied to illicit narco-terrorist networks, like the Tren de Aragua cartel. For context, that's a Venezuelan gang the U.S. State Department labeled a foreign terrorist organization back in February 2025, meaning they're seen as more than just criminals but threats on par with terrorists. This is the 5th deadly strike since early September, pushing the confirmed death toll to at least 27, all branded by the administration as narco-terrorists waging irregular warfare against us. According to BBC News reporting from October 15th and CBS News the same day, it's no small potatoes. These operations are heating up the pot between Washington and Caracas.
5th strike in less than 2 months? That's a rapid fire of controversy. What details do we have on this latest one? And how did it go down?
Right on the money, Grace. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered it, and Trump says it was executed flawlessly with no harm to our forces. The Pentagon released grainy black and white video footage, now viral on social media, showing the boat, which looked stationary, getting nailed by an overhead projectile. It burst into flames and sank in seconds. Trump stressed it was in international waters, far from Venezuelan turf, part of his broader war on cartels to choke drug flows into the U.S. He's long accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of running the Cartel of the Suns, a supposed ring of top military and security brass in the drug trade. Maduro denies it flat out, calling it slander. As the Washington Post reported on October 15th and The Guardian today, this isn't isolated. It's tied to a U.S. military buildup that started in late August.
Build up how? Lay out the muscle we've sent to the region.
Trump directed the deployment of 8 warships, a nuclear-powered submarine, and fighter jets for anti-narcotics patrols in the southern Caribbean. BBC Verify used public ship trackers and social media sleuthing to spot possibles, like the guided missile cruiser USS Lake Erie, last pinged east of the Panama Canal on August 30th, USS Gravely, and USS Jason Dunham at Guantanamo Bay in mid-August, and USS Fort Lauderdale north of the Dominican Republic on August 28th. The admin frames this as self-defense against an armed attack from cartels, notifying Congress on October 1st that we're in a non-international armed conflict with these non-state groups, treated as unlawful combatants under the 2001 Authorization for Use of Military Force, or AUMF. That's key, Grace. It lets them use lethal force without needing Congress to sign off first, dodging the usual war powers resolution hurdles. BBC News on October 15th and Military Times Today break it down that way.
Legally dicey, no doubt. But where's the proof these boats were dirty? Feels like we're sailing on suspicion alone.
You've hit the nail on the head, and that's the sinking evidentiary gap here. As of today, no public proof from the Trump team, no recovered drugs, no cargo details from the wreckage, no vessel registries beyond vague Venezuelan links, no automatic identification system data, and zilch on who the 27 dead were. nationalities included. They cite intelligence and share those unclassified videos, but no forensics, no boarding reports, nothing independent. BBC Verify's investigation, out about 22 hours ago, points this out sharply. For comparison, our Coast Guard usually boards on reasonable suspicion under the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act, seizing stuff non-lethally. They nabbed over $473 million in cocaine and marijuana in 19 ops in the Eastern Pacific and Caribbean last August alone. But a Coast Guard official told Senator Rand Paul that a September 13th boarding turned up empty, and the FY 2023 cocaine bust rate was just 3.71%, meaning lots of clean ships. BBC News and CBS News both covered that on October 15th, with Al Jazeera adding today that lethal force flips the script.
Experts are crying foul on international law. What's their beef?
Legal eagles are shredding this like confetti. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, which we follow in practice even without ratifying, ships in international waters fall under flag state rules, with narrow outs like hot pursuit or stateless vessels. Force has to be reasonable, necessary, and usually non-lethal, only for imminent threats. The 1988 UN Drug Convention pushes cooperative boardings, not airstrikes. UN Charter Article 2.4 bans force except self-defense under Article 51 against an armed attack. Scholars like Professor Luke Moffat from Queen's University Belfast and Dame Mary Ellen O'Connell from Notre Dame say drug runs by groups like Tren de Aragua aren't armed attacks on that 9/11 scale. Labeling them terrorists doesn't make them fair game for bombs. Peacetime human rights law bars extrajudicial killings without due process. BBC News on October 15th, UN.org today, and Jurist.org yesterday echo the ICJ's ruling since 2000, like in Nicaragua versus U.S. cases, stressing state attribution and proportionality. UN rights experts, including Assistant Secretary General Miroslav Jenka, slammed the strikes as possible arbitrary killings, calling for probes. Venezuela demanded a UN Security Council emergency meet yesterday, per The Guardian today and PBS.org.
And the regional backlash. Maduro's not taking this lying down.
Polarized as a split banana republic, Maduro, whose 2024 re-election international watchers called rigged, ordered military drills yesterday in Caracas shantytowns like socialist Bastion Petare and Miranda State. He rallied the army, police, and a civilian militia up to 4 million strong to guard everything from mountains to markets, prepping for peace but eyeing U.S. invasion vibes. On state TV, he begged Americans for no war, yes, peace, rejecting regime change, or CIA coups, like in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya. Foreign Minister Yvonne Gill and Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello blasted it as warmongering to grab Venezuela's oil. Cabello says probes show none of the 11 killed in the September 2nd strike were traffickers. Thousands joined the militia in August amid fears, and a state of emergency looms. CBS News, BBC News on October 15th, and Al Jazeera today have the details. Colombian President Gustavo Petro disputes our claims, saying the September 19th hit was on a Colombian-flagged boat with his citizens, poor Caribbean kids, not narcos, urging families forward. White House denies. Trinidad and Tobago's PM, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, cheers it, wanting more. Most Latin leaders condemn, noting Venezuela's drug roll is minor compared to other paths, per The Guardian and Newsweek yesterday.
Back home, it's dividing the aisles. What's the political pulse?
Republicans rally Senator Lindsey Graham dubs Trump the new sheriff in town. But bipartisan heat from Senators Adam Schiff, Tim Kaine, Rand Paul, Bernie Sanders. They pushed a war powers resolution on October 8th to stop Op Sans approval, but it tanked 48-51 on party lines. No pre-consult with Congress, leaning on AUMF and a leaked memo tagging cartels as combatants. A CLU and Center for Constitutional Rights hit with a FOIA request yesterday for legal memos after AG Pam Bondi stonewalled in Senate testimony. Senator Jeanne Shaheen warns of sliding to outright conflict without checks. Washington Post, October 15th, aclu.org same day, senate.gov today, cover it.
And now CIA covert ops? That's pouring gas on the fire.
Trump confirmed yesterday in the Oval, with FBI Director Kash Patel and Bondi, that he greenlit CIA actions in Venezuela, a presidential finding for unilateral moves. Blames drug floods and wild claims Maduro dumped prisoners into our migrant waves, eyeing land targets beyond seas. Experts like ex-CIA Mick Mulroy say it's a huge ramp-up, like real-life Sicario hits. Maduro calls sovereignty breach. BBC News October 15th and Time.com today note parallels to past ops. Bounty on Maduro doubled to $50 million in August, as opposition leader Maria Corina Machado snagged the Nobel Peace Prize for bucking his rule. No independent verifies from UN, OAS, or BBC Verify. OAS mum. But UN urges restraint. UN.org and CBS News lay out fears of escalation amid Venezuela's woes and our naval push, trade squeezes. It's shifting from cop to soldier in drug fights, spotlighting accountability in shadowy intel and prez power plays, Grace.
Phew, a boatload of implications there, Ethan. Thanks for breaking it all down so thoroughly. And now, our second story this morning, California Governor Gavin Newsom is taking a bold step to make insulin affordable for everyone in the state, announcing a state-branded version that could slash prices to just $11 per pen. Joining me to break this down is our health policy reporter, Chloe. Chloe, this sounds like a game changer for the 3.5 million Californians living with diabetes. Walk us through the big announcement from today.
Absolutely, Grace. According to a statement from Newsom's office covered by CalMatters as a breaking story, the governor unveiled an expansion of the state's CalRx program this morning, October 16, 2025. Starting January 1, 2026, which is just 76 days from now, all Californians can buy state-branded insulin glargine pens for an average of $11 each. That's a 5-pack for no more than $55 at pharmacies. Newsom put it bluntly, quote, "California didn't wait for the pharmaceutical industry to do the right thing. We took matters into our own hands. No Californian should ever have to ration insulin or go into debt to stay alive," end quote. It's a direct jab at the insulin-sane costs that have burdened patients for years.
$11 does sound incredibly low compared to what people pay now. For folks at home who might not follow the insulin market closely, what's making this possible? And how does it stack up against brands like Lantus?
Great question, Grace. This CalRx biosimilar is interchangeable with the generic version of Lantus, a popular long-acting insulin. Each pen holds 3 milliliters, and it's a huge cut from current prices. For example, Lantus sells to pharmacies for over $92 per equivalent unit, and patients often pay way more due to insurance twists. As health economists noted in CalMatters reporting, that's thanks to cost shifting in the supply chain, where drug companies inflate list prices to cover secret rebates to pharmacy benefit managers and insurers. CalRx skips that mess with transparent pricing based on actual manufacturing and distribution costs, potentially saving cash-paying patients $2,000 to $4,000 a year per estimates from the California Department of Healthcare Access and Information.
So who's behind the production? I hear there's a partnership involved, but not everything is made in California as hoped.
Right. At the core is Civica RX, a Utah-based nonprofit generic drug maker started in 2018 by big health systems, philanthropies, and groups like the Rockefeller Foundation. They've already distributed over 210 million vials or syringes of essential meds to more than 97 million patients nationwide as of April 2025, according to their report cited in the New England Journal of Medicine Catalyst. For CalRx, Civica handles distribution through California pharmacies, but the insulin comes from Biocon Biologics, an Indian company that's the world's 4th largest insulin producer. Biocon supplies the active substance from plants in Bengaluru, India, and Johor, Malaysia. Then Civica does the fill finish. That's packaging into pens and vials at their sterile facility in Petersburg, Virginia. That plant was supposed to be ready in early 2024, but will start commercial ops in 2026 for this launch. It's all under the CalRx brand, using Biocon's FDA-approved insulin glargine YFGN from July 2021, the first interchangeable biosimilar to Lantus, so no new trials needed, as Bloomberg Law and Biospace have detailed.
There have been delays and budget changes along the way. How did we get here from the original vision?
The CalRx idea kicked off with Newsom's 2019 executive order to use state buying power for cheap drugs. In 2022, California ponied up $50 million for Civica to develop low-cost insulin, plus another $50 million for an in-state manufacturing plant to create jobs. But as Manufacturing Dive and Bloomberg Government reported, that plant funding got axed in the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 budget over a deficit and delays. No construction started. A May 2025 proposal tried to redirect funds, but it's not revived. Instead, the money boosts Civica's ops, which supply over 55 health systems, covering about 1/3 of U.S. inpatient hospital capacity, plus the VA and Defense Department. Elizabeth Landsberg, director of the California Department of Healthcare Access and Information overseeing CalRx, stresses transparent pricing to cut hidden costs and help uninsured or underinsured folks.
And tying into this, there's new legislation. Tell us about Senate Bill 40.
Less than a week ago, on October 10th, Newsom signed SB 40 into law, capping out-of-pocket insulin at $35 per 30-day supply for state-regulated plans, as reported by Insurance Newsnet and CalMatters. It kicks in January 1st, 2026 for large groups, and January 1st, 2027 for individuals and small groups, making California the 29th state with such a cap. Interestingly, he vetoed a similar bill in 2023, betting on CalRx as the full fix, but delays changed that calculus. Earlier CalMatters pieces from January 15 and March 3, 2025, highlighted setbacks like extra FDA steps that bumped the timeline from a 2024 promise in a November 2023 contract.
Accessibility seems key here. Who qualifies, and what challenges might pop up?
No eligibility hurdles at all. Unlike many aid programs, it's open to everyone via local pharmacies, retailers, or mail order. Pharmacies get 5 packs from Civica for $45, with contracts to avoid markups. But as AJMC and Pharmaceutical Technology Analyses note, pharmacy benefit manager formularies or wholesaler deals could slow adoption if they favor pricier brands. Promisingly, a May 2025 New England Journal of Medicine Catalyst study on Civica Scripts generic abiraterone showed 64% savings for consumers and 92% for payers in Medicare and commercial plans, proving the model can deliver for the uninsured too.
How does California's approach compare nationally? Is this a first?
It's groundbreaking, Grace. No other state has a branded drug program like this, with direct manufacturing contracts and rebranding, per the National Conference of State Legislatures and West Health. Most run subsidy programs for copays or discounts, but California is, quote, the first and only state contracting for its own affordable insulin, end quote, as state docs say in LAist and Cap Radio coverage. Civica's broader plans include 3 generic insulins at no more than $30 per vial. But the American Diabetes Association flagged concerns in early 2025 about incomplete trials, possibly delaying full U.S. rollout to 2027 or later. Outlets like CBS News, Fierce Pharma, and Diatribe praise the transparency but warn of reliance on out-of-state and international production without that California plant. Nonprofits like the California Healthcare Foundation, which backed CalMatters coverage, will watch to ensure savings reach patients. It's a sweet deal in theory, but execution is the real test.
Chloe, that's vital info for our viewers facing these high costs. Thank you for joining us this morning. Here are some other headlines. In a headline-grabbing press exit, Dozens of reporters from major outlets turned in their Pentagon credentials and walked out, rather than sign new rules from the Trump administration that would muzzle reporting not explicitly released by defense officials, even if the information is unclassified. Around 40 to 50 journalists left in unison at a 4 p.m. deadline, according to the Associated Press, spanning organizations from the New York Times to Fox News. The Pentagon Press Association warned the policy carries an implicit threat of criminalizing national security reporting. Newsrooms called it an unconstitutional swipe at the First Amendment. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has championed the rules, while President Trump defended them as common sense, saying the press is very disruptive in terms of world peace. The move effectively ends independent accredited press access inside the Pentagon for the first time since 1943, a newsroom blackout at the heart of U.S. defense. Google is placing a big bet in the Bay of Bengal, a $15 billion investment to build its first AI hub in India, anchoring in Visakhapatnam. The plan, rolling out from 2026 to 2030, includes a gigawatt-scale data center, fresh large-scale energy sources, expanded fiber networks, and a new international subsea gateway. With partners including Adani Group and Airtel, the project aims to wire India for warp-speed AI, aligning with the government's Viksit Bharat 2047 vision. CEO Sundar Pichai says the move brings industry-leading tech to accelerate innovation nationwide, while Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls it a powerful force for democratizing technology. In short, a cloud with a silver lining and a seafloor cable. The climate ledger is deep in the red. The UN's World Meteorological Organization reports atmospheric carbon dioxide surged at a record pace in 2024, the biggest annual jump since modern measurements began in 1957, pushing CO2 to the highest levels in human history. Methane and nitrous oxide also hit records, while natural carbon sinks, forests and oceans are losing some of their appetite for absorption. WMO's Co Barrett says greenhouse gases are turbocharging our climate, with scientists warning of a vicious cycle. Warming weakens sinks, which speeds more warming. With COP30 set for Belém, Brazil, the pressure on policymakers is turning up like the planet. In Paris, political tightrope walking without a net, Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's government survived 2 no-confidence votes, with the most critical motion drawing 271 votes, 18 shy of the 289 needed to topple the cabinet. The save came after Lecornu promised to suspend President Emmanuel Macron's pension reform, raising the retirement age from 62 to 64 until after the 2027 presidential election, persuading the socialists to sit out the showdown. Crisis averted for now, but with no stable majority and a tough 2026 budget ahead, every bill could be a hill to die on. And brace for a wallet workout in 2026. Health insurance premiums are projected to jump. Employer plans could rise 6.5% to 9%, small businesses may see about 11%, and ACA marketplace premiums are forecast to climb a median 18%, especially if enhanced federal subsidies expire at the end of 2025. Rising medical prices, pricey new drugs for obesity and cancer, and persistent inflation are the main culprits. Many employers plan cost-cutting moves that shift more to workers during open enrollment, proof that when healthcare costs go up, take-home pay feels the down. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Sonnet 4.0, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.